Just the bigger picture here on the weekly chart for the S&P in terms of a bullish count. So we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 as we have been doing. That means that we are seeing this move up quite strong here now. So it'd be the 3rd, 4th and 5th for 1 and 2 in that case. If it was a bearish market, then we'd have to put wave C up here as an A and a B and a C at this particular point. As I mentioned, it's possible to have a bearish market, but it was something that I'm sort of, been weighing more towards the bullish side for quite some time. But, we need to treat both with respect. It's interesting because this move up here is actually the 50% retracement level from that high to this low here. This is the 61.8%, and this will be roughly the 78.6. And we'll just double check that, because we can use the trading levels quite well with this. Okay, so this is the 50%, 61.8% and the 78.6. So if you know the trading levels a little bit, we've got the medium level here 4, then we've got 1, 2, 3 and 100, 200 and 300. So once the market finds this is where we'll separate the bearish from the bullish once again, step by step. Because we got 5 here, it means we get 5 over here. And the top of group 1 here, the 4,300, that's really from that 4,300 down to this group 2 here, to the low of group 2. That's the swing range for a correction at this level. If we get a tested support on this level, then we'll be sucked up to the number 5, the second strongest number at that point. So getting support on the 4,300, that will tell us, because of getting tested support on that number, it severs the pull of this number and gets pulled by 5 at that point. Now, getting support on top of the 3 is a tricky little bit of business. It's the 1 is the strongest number, then 5, then 8, then 3. So you can also see that 3's really played a nice role through here as well. So and it's at the 61.8%. So it's going to be a bit of a sort of a battle at that point there. The current move that we're tracking to the upside here, as you know, I'll just look at it on one level here. So that's our 1 and 2, and then we've got 1 and 2. We're building to the upside. And as I mentioned the other day, well, I've been mentioning for a little while that in terms of Elliott Wave this time, we've got wave 2 here. So we're in the 3rd wave of that intermediate degree. It could be a minor degree, but yeah, anyway, we're in wave 3 of this one, 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 we're in wave 3 of this one. So we're in the 3rd of the 3rd of the 3rd, yada yada yada, and we're looking for a strong move to the upside. So we've seen the communications market move up quite strong here. Obviously the alphabets and the Meta stock, and also Microsoft always tags along with Google for some reason that I don't understand. But anyway, that's that 4-3 there, and the way that I've got this counted at the moment, we should continue up through there, but we'll be entering, there's always a beginning, a middle and an end of a trend. So even from this bit here, well, this 1 and 2 is the beginning of a trend, isn't it? And then from 2 to 3 up here, then that will also be in the 3rd wave will be the middle, and then there's a middle of the 3rd wave, because there's a beginning and a middle and an end to every structure. But what I'm saying up here is that we'll be getting close to, we're in the 4s and 5s at that part. Not that I've got a 5 there, so we should just put a 5 there. So we'll be going, this will be the middle, and we're getting into the end of this trend at this point between 2 and 3, and then the other 4 here will be, the later part of that stage. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this wave 3 here. Anyway, that's the S&P. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So we've got Apple here. I've just got to let Minky out. He's tired of listening to me. Okay, so Apple. So this is the daily chart for Apple. As you know, we've been looking at it. A lot of these markets, I still haven't quite sort of decided in the bigger picture that we've got 3 and 4 here. I mean, this looks like a typical 4th wave to me, but in a lot of other cases, especially the newer technologies, when they've pulled back, they have likelihoods of wave twos, because they're pulled down deep and sharp and those sorts of things. So yeah, I'm just still deciding on that, but it doesn't really matter. Whichever way you want to look at, we'll be taking the tops out here because these are corrective patterns. Sure, they could get bigger and uglier. We need to be sort of onto that as well. So Apple, we're at this medium level here. So we should see a bit of a dance around that. As I've mentioned just about every day, this particular move up here, you know, I've always known that it's bullish, even though I've put in a bearish count for it as well. But I've got different ways of counting it up here. It shouldn't make a lot of difference. We should see, you know, meeting supply across here. We should see some sort of, it may only be small, but we should see some little dance across here. But the trend is still to the upside here. Okay, so we're going to have a look at a couple of different trends here on the, first of all, on this particular one here. This will be looking at it as wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Now wave 3 is actually shorter than wave 1, so wave 5 needs to be shorter than wave 3. So we'll keep an eye on that, and that will give us a bit of a flip around here. Probably won't come back that much. I'm probably exaggerating. Wave 4 will probably be about it. Could be something like that. So we'll need that, but basically what we can, if this is, I'm sort of thinking we'll get some sort of pattern like this anyway, and it'll be sort of something like this and then push up at that point. So whatever it is, we'll be getting that pullback over here. So that's one count. On the 10K there'll be another count. This is one that we've had here for a while. I haven't tidied this one up just yet. It's the same, but a little bit, you know, same, but a little bit different. So we still need to see that move a little bit higher. So then we'll have this wave 4 and this wave 4 and up to here, and then a wave 2 over to here. So in terms of holding Apple, that's good, but probably not with leverage, you know, just hold it as a, but it doesn't matter if you're using leverage or just stock, really, you know, I mean, non-leverage, I mean, because you still have to, at the end, even though you've got the leverage, you still need to, you know, have your percentage risk or your amount risk. The only thing with leverage is that it costs you money, you know, the overnight financing, and especially if you're using CFDs, then they get calculated daily like any margin, but they'll get calculated on the higher price. So it's like a bit of a compound interest, really. So it's gets very expensive. Okay, so that's another count. Sorry to confuse you like this, but I think it's because I don't know, I need to talk about it, and you know, you need to kind of, there's ideas, you know. This is another one here where we've got wave 1 here already and 2 here and 1. So this is a bit like the S&P in a way, you know. So in this case, we're not going to be sticking around here for long, you know. So I'm going to go straight to the tick chart here now. I mean, we're on tick charts anyway. I mean, the 100 ticks, bit of a workspace area here from where we were before. Let's just get in a bit of data here. I've got a couple of different counts on here. Not that it matters too much. I mean, of course it matters, but it's just where I can have a look, because I have to verify, you know, and I'll go down into 10 ticks, as you know. I mean, I need to verify, you know, wave structures with all of this, you know. Okay. Probably just double check on that in a moment. So there's a couple of ways we can count this, but I'll just use that later. I don't need some of these now. I'll put in that. Don't need that. I'll leave that. So what have we got here? We've got, that looks pretty impulsive to that point, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I probably 1, 2. Yeah, doesn't really go very well there. I might need to push that to there, I think. But where does that leave me from that point? I'll have to double check on this. So that would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. Would that be, it looks like a fourth wave here. I'm just wondering if it's a smaller degree, that's all. It'll be up there somewhere. I mean, when it's not, it won't want to leave this number too much. That's not that one. This one at least. This one can go over here whichever way. This will be minor group 1. So minor group 1, whenever you get to it, whatever number that you're at, there'll be a group 1 and a group 2. And it's kind of important to understand that. Because that will always be your swing range, and then while you're in your swing range, so it's just 1, 2, 3, while you're in your swing range, so the group 2 below here be 46.50, close enough for the time being, and 47 there, and we normally give that a splash of color just to make it more exciting than it actually is. And so yeah, this will be, you know, because normally when you trade, you either make a decision to get out when you get to the number and be done with it, right, and be happy with your lot. Otherwise, you know, you need to basically understand that that's group 2, and you have to put up with whatever's going to happen in there. And then you use these things. You might take out 50% here, or 60% here, or 30%, or 25%, or something, whatever you decide you're sort of happy with. And then any sort of move back into group 2, and you can see over here we've got support for group 2 now, you know, actual, you know, evidence of, you know, group 2 going to be in play here. So that means you can buy back here again, you know. So you just keep buying on these lows, whatever happens at this point, and selling the highs within this space. But because that's pretty much what will happen in one way or another. But that's that for the time being. I'll just move these across. I might need to do a bit more work on that, but it doesn't matter when you're at a large number like this. It's not going anywhere. You know, it partied hard last night, and it needs to rest. Now this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming up here as well. So I would, you know, in this group, this is where the number 3, the 53, if this became a tested support, the number 3 here, that's at the point that you know that you're wrong, or I'm wrong, or we're wrong, or whoever, whatever. But that's the wrongness at that particular point there. So if that gets a classic trading levels pattern on, it becomes support like this on this level here, then you know you need to be out of it at that point, because it's going to keep continuing to go higher. Okay, let's move along. And this is Amazon. So we've been looking at Amazon with the low in, and we've been counting it up as 1 and 2. And I can see that we've got here, we'll look at this in a moment, but we've still got this as 1 and 2, and we'll look at the 3rd, 4th, 5th up here. So then there'll be a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th. And probably around these highs, we'll end up seeing some sort of correction back again, and then we'll be up again like that. So, I mean, the thing about all of this, you know, is that, you know, with the S&P and a few of these other markets, we've been waiting for, you know, for to see some strength in the market, you know, to help confirm that we're in wave 3s, you know, and we're pushing up, you know, and yeah, so it's been a bit, it's always an emotional thing when you're at a low, you know, when you're in a low of the market, you've got half the community bearish and the other half bullish, or most of them bearish, or whatever the case may be. So it's difficult to, you know, get into the mindset of being bullish, and a lot of folks miss out on these lows, you know. It's tricky. It's an emotional event, isn't it? You know, but that's why I kind of always, you know, when we're down here, because I don't like to get too much abuse. I mean, I can handle criticism long as it's constructive and I've got something to work with. But that's why I'm always in tricky situations, looking at both sides of the market and trying to take an even keel on things, and then really just stay with the evidence and use the trading levels and just focus on the trade setups, you know, and the price and the volume and well, the price is the levels for me, and the volume, and then the Elliott Wave structure comes in, which can be sort of helpful and not, but it's easier said than done, isn't it? You know, that's not being much help, but that's basically that structure to the upside. We need to go in. I'll just check what I've got on 10 here. Okay, that's that. So we're going up for the third wave at this point, which is good. Let's go into the 5 tick, just checking as I go along. I haven't really updated that there, but that will be, you know, we've got a 1 and 2 in here, and we've got a third and fourth and a fifth in for this, and then there'll be a fourth, and then there'll be a fifth, so that will be the third at that point, something like that. Just keep shaping these things up. So 5, we go straight to 100, and let's just get in a bit more data. Is that enough? Yeah, so that's from the low here. We counted up as 1 and 2, and then we're counting up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2. And yeah, so what's the best way to count this? Yeah, I think that's gonna take any others from down there? No, I think I'll just borrow these then. We'll take this one. That's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to go like this. I could be wrong here, and I'll need to mull this over, but it's not going to make a lot of difference at this point anyway, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We could just go a bit higher here for that, and then we'll have wave 4, and then we'll have wave 5 and 3 and 5 and 4. So that's where we sort of are at the moment. You see how it's not finding support on top of group 1 of the 10. So with 10 here, we've got group 2 below and group 1. So that's its swing range at this point. It has done a little bit here for this, but if that becomes the support, then you know we're not coming back to this number. It's not support yet, is it? Because really it's just sitting above there on that, you know. It's traded above. Being above it's not support. Being above that is just not support at this point. It's a bit of a weird count here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Do I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Is that it? Or probably maybe it's just going to build. But basically, you know, that's not support. So it might push up. If it gets a second high and then takes the second high out, then you can continue to go along. At that point you'll go to 5, so 1, 2, 3, 5 and 8 and so on, but otherwise it'll be pulled back to this number if it can't get on support there. And then we'll have to put that top in here, and then this wave 4 can technically come back to this wave 4 here, or the 38.2%, but don't worry about stops and all that just yet. I mean, if you're worried about something, take money off the table. But otherwise, if you're, you know, this is the fastest part of the trend here, because we're in the third of the third of the third of the third, and bang, you know. So that's it. So that's the middle there, you know. The rest of it's going to be just, that's the grind here. But the grind, you know, it pays. Hard work pays. But patience is the grind. Here, so just don't grind your teeth in the meantime. Okay, so that's that. And Nvidia here as well, just on the daily chart, we've got 1 and 2, and there's different ways to count this up as well, but it does count with a nice 5 waves to this point here. But so that will take wave 3 up to the 250 at this stage. It may come back here, that would be the other side of it, but whichever way you want to look at this, it's bullish because it's past the 5 wave structure here, so it will be going high. The worst possible thing that could happen is that we get an ABC pattern here and then a push up, but I can't see that when we look at Amazon and Microsoft and Google and Meta platforms and so on. But anyway, let's go in and have a little look. I mean, this is the 50-60%, so it can be an A wave, a B wave and a C wave up here, but this is not behaving like a C wave. This is faster than this. You know, this is behaving like a third wave here. So, but still, we'll get to the top of it, and you know, we'll you know, explain the risk and look at the risk and manage the risk and all of that sort of waffle. So let's cruise in on the 20. So that's that count. 10's probably got a different count on it. Yep, it's got a different count. So this is a different count here. So this is kind of interesting here. In this particular instance, this would also be a little wave 1 up here, somewhere up here. We'll take a closer look at that, and the wave 2 would pull back at that point there. So that's kind of interesting at that point. It's not like we've got support at group 1 here either, minor group 1, which is way up here, which is not very helpful. So we have to use 1, 2, and 3 here. But let's cruise in and have a closer look at this. I'll just take that on board. So yeah, it can come back and test this area here. We're on 10. Let's just go to 5K. I'm not going to go through the bigger picture with all of them. From here on in, we'll be looking just at the intraday. So, right, okay, so what have I done here? So this must be the length of wave 1. So we need wave 3 here to be taller than this one here. So if we're going to have wave 1 here, all right, we'll have to see wave 3 above the 250, which is, this is a medium level here. Medium levels are halfway between 2 major levels. So that's the next major level. So 100, 200, 300, 500, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and then back to 1 again, 100 and 200, so on, 1,000 rather. Yeah, so that's that. Let's just cruise into the 100. Okay, so let's get in a bit more data. Okay, so that's that wave 2 here. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So that's how we've been counting it up. So I think that's the best count. But, you know, it could be counted another way, the other way. So let me just have a look at this here. Okay, I've got this counted in different ways as well. See, the trick here is that I've got to get up here, you know. So I need a count that's going to get me to the medium level here. That's the distance that we've got to cover. So I've got to think about this a little bit. Let's just see. There's no need to. We'll just put a stop in here at break even. Like I said, if you want to take money off the table, that's it. I mean, you can see the stochastic's pulling back, so hopefully we'll see some sort of thing here and we'll push up higher at this point. But the 2's not a big deal. It's this one here that's the big deal. But I think we're okay at this point. I can see there's different ways. I'm not going to work that. I'm going to put that here, because I needed 5 waves here. We had 1, 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think that's 4 and 5, and I think that's justifiable in that sense. So I have to look at this as 1 and 2. Otherwise, I have to go. Yeah, spikes, man. So we've clearly got 1 here, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to here. So the 4th wave comes up and overlaps that. That buggers that up. So maybe it is in there. God, it's a bit of a Arthur Martha thing. It's just been anyway. I haven't figured it all out here, but we don't need to worry too much. The worst it could do is come back into this space here, really. You know. If I looked at that as 3, 4, 5, it can come back to here as a smaller 4th and then up. So we don't have to worry about it, but it's we'll just see what gets delivered. So meta platforms here, we've been like looking at the low here You know, it has come a long way down. So, you know, and there's a good case for counting 5 waves down here as well. So, because it's just really one leg. You know, we can get it into a corrective pattern as well, and it's come sharp, so it's more like a wave 2 than a wave 4, you know. So this will end up taking out the top at some point. And yeah, but in this case here, we've been looking at it in bullish in 2 ways. Bullish with wave 1 here and 2 here and 1 and 2 here, or wave 1 here and 2 here. So there's different ways to view this. We'll just cruise in, but either way that we look at it, we'll be heading up for some type of wave 1 somewhere up here in all of this. Now, of course, yeah, nothing's in a straight line. So let's just go in through these because we're just going to looking at the bullish count. So this is 1 and 2 here. So we've got 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then we'll be looking at wave 3 up here, 4, 5 and things. So look, the 200 is going to stall it, you know. So you don't ever see, you don't get what you see in the markets. You always get the opposite. If you see the strong trend, well, you're going to get profit taking, and you're going to see stops get taken out, and they trigger the market down further, and until the value buyers come in, and once they're all in, they've pushed it up, and there's no one else to get in, and then it'll fall again, and you know, so corrections are a bit like that. It's just a process. So this is a different way to count it. So it still doesn't really matter. It's all going to pretty much do the same thing. Okay, so well, I'll figure it out. But yeah, so there's different ways to view it all, but we will be seeing some type of correction across this level here. Now the thing is that like group 1 down here that captured the market, we can look at 30 there, 20, this is our group 1 here, and so you need to make a decision what you're going to do in this market. So we can 165, close enough, we can muck around with that later. 72 7, what should be down a little bit further, but we'll adjust that later. You know, this is where you need to make decisions here, because you either get out here now, right, or you put up with some time being spent in this range here. That's why I said if you just got straight stock and no leverage margin that you're paying out on, well then, you know, it's worth hanging in there, you know. Let's just go into the 100 ticks. So yeah, so I did a little bit of work here, but so 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. So yeah, you know, it's going into a series. These have all been the third of the third of the third of the third, you know, all of that. So now we're going into all the 4s and 5s here. So it's going, what you see is not what you get next, you know. That's the thing. So we've got group 2 there. Let's just put in group 1 here. So group 1 is 10, 20 and 30. And what do we got here? I'm not quite sure about these. I haven't done everything here. Probably it's not finished off very well there, but you know, first of all we can look at this here and go, well, the 38.2% retracement level is here. Now I'm not saying that it's going to do that, come back that far, because the momentum is still there, but there will be profit taking. So at some point in all of this up here, it will come back to the 180. So that's why I say don't put your stop anywhere in here. You might also take some off here. That's why I say make your decision at the big numbers, you know. Anyway, I'll leave that there. I've said my piece. So Netflix here, I won't go to the bigger picture. We've got a series of ones and twos here. Not really seeing it push up very nicely here, but it's been a bit doggy-ish through here as well. We looked at this as an A and a B and a C here, looking okay. It should climb higher. It could get a bit more ugly. It's not really pushing off, but we've got impulse waves to the upside and corrective waves to the downside, so it's going to have more trouble at this particular point, but should push higher. So just stay with that if you're long. And Enphase here, so we've just been sort of counting this up here. So what was that? That was a 50-60% of this, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's going to, and it's at the 50% at the moment of that previous trend. So at this point here, and also at 230 as well, not so much the 2, but the 30 is the important point here. So this is all of this is group 1 of 2 here, right? So if we get support on the 30, then it's going to sever the market from being pulled by this number, and then it's going to be pulled by the 5 here. So the question is that what's it going to be here? So first of all, this wave 4 could pull back to this wave 4, or we could view it, if we've got this count right, then we can look at this as a 38.2%. So the 38.2% is here, and the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree is here. So I normally just take that, and that would be the swing range for this, which is pretty useless in this particular instance. Normally it's much neater and tidier, but let's just allow that to be. But we can see that this is a little B wave in here in 3 waves. It could be down for 1 and back for 2, of course, but we'll take this as a C wave here, and we'll take the length of this one here because there's normally some sort of equality into those sort of things. So it's more than likely we're going to see something like this here. So we just need to keep this stop out of the way from this below this wave 4, and we've also got the 22 here. So under the 220, the next most important number down is the 18. And when we're talking about 18, number 8, we're talking about group 2, aren't we? So we've got 1720 and then 1650 here. So 1650, we definitely want to have it under 1650 as well. And then you can come down to the 15. So between 10 and 20, the biggest number is 15. So you really want to keep the stop under the 15. You don't want to put it 14 because market makers and market depth and all that can stop you out at things. So really you need to be at 12. That's the thing. So at this point 12 would be it. I can't remember where we talked about being long in this particular market. I don't know if it was above this high or above this high or here or something, but obviously I've talked about the stop being probably the more important thing. So next step is getting support here. If we don't get support here, then we'll have to look at this as a corrective pattern to the upside. But either way, I just don't think it's finished yet, so we should be pushing higher. The biggest thing about all of this really is that I can count 5 waves down here. I could look at it as an A and a B and a C, but I can't ignore the fact that we've got that 5 waves down here. So we'll have to consider a B wave up here. Now it's just something we need to work through. I don't know at this point, so we'll just have to keep working with that. Like I said, lithium and all of those boys, they are very bullish, and I'm sure that this market is connected to it in its own way. I haven't really looked at their full product range apart from their inverters, which I was researching once, but I don't know. Okay, Tesla here hasn't moved. It did all its moving before, so we're calling a low in for Tesla, and I won't go to the daily chart just yet, but yeah, we've got wave 4 here that we looked at. So we've got 1 and 2, a nice third wave here, so we're getting a little 4th wave here, so we can call that the 4th wave, the 5th wave here, and then we're going to see another ABC pattern here for the 4th here, and then we'll see the 5th up here, and then we'll see another 4th here, and then we'll see a 5th up breaking up there, and then we'll see the ABC here coming back somewhere, and then up again from that point. It'll be something like that, do you know what I mean? Just take that with a pinch of salt, of course, but it just gives us a little bit of shape to the trend that we're viewing here. I mean, this wave 5's too big here, really, compared to this one here, you know, because the extension's in the wave 3 here. So we'll need to bring this down here a little bit. So quite a lot of, we're going to spend a lot of time at this number here. So the trick here would not to be buying at these tops here, would be buying anywhere, accumulating positions in group 2 here. Alphabet, so yeah, so we just have a deeper look here. We've been counting this up, so we've already got a wave 1 over here, and we'll come back for wave 2 and been counting up here. I've got a couple of different counts here because on the 100 is my worksheet, so don't worry about that too much. But our main point was that we counted 5 waves up here. We had wave 2 here. Talk about going long here, and it moved pretty damn quickly up here. So we've still got a bit more. This will be the 3rd wave. We've still got 1 and 2 here. We still need, I could just probably take these. I don't need them over there now. So we'll be looking for some sort of 3, 4 and 5 up here for this. Might need to lift these up a degree of structure as well. Look, the main thing here is that this market, in one way or another, is going to have a bit of a dance around, you know, around this number up here, the 110. So it'll be something, you know, it'll be something like this before going higher. Okay, so it's all about this number here. If you want to get out, that's the number to get out on, because it will be spending some time here. And I've got to go back and sort all this out, but I haven't got time right to do it now. I've already waffled on the beginning of the video, so I've got to make these a little bit quicker. So Microsoft here, we've got a big wave 1 and 2 here. It could be at intermediate degree rather than primary degree that I've got it. But everything's going along accordingly. According to the plan, and we've had 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then 1 and 2 and then pushing up here. So for 3, 4, 5 up here, we're coming into group 2. If the market, I mean, we've got this old high over here. This is the 65 number. So this is, after 5 is 8, and then with 8 we talk about group 2. So once it gets its claws and its feet and it can sit on that 265, then it's going to, you know, continue to move up and play around in here. I have to say this trend has got further to go up, so just stay long in all of this, and yeah, it can come back to 256 or 258 or 260 or something of that nature, but it's the trend itself is these are one way. Even if I need to put wave 2 over here for something, but whichever way you want to look at this here, this is a trend that's building. And this is the sort of middle of that build, and it's still got further to go. So we should be up here eventually, you know. So yeah, I don't know what you want to do with all of that, but just hang in there for that. Don't need a lot of this now. Keep it clean. I'll put that up there. That's major level 3. This is the medium level. I better change that, because if I don't do it now, I'll come back later and forget about it, and somebody will see it as a mistake, and I make enough of them. So rightio, so old Bertie here never got off his backside. Still waiting for a move up. Seems to accumulating in 1s and 2s here. I think it will pop at some point, so I'm not too worried about that. I mean, I just really keep an eye on Berkshire Hathaway, not really as a trade, but it's part of really the low volatility set of stocks in the S&P. So it just gives me another sort of outside view of things, and same that's why I look at the one or two of the banks now and again. So Square here, from probably bullish with this as well, of course. So we've been looking up at from the low here as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and 2, and then starting off again as 1 and 2 and going up for further up here. Look, you could probably count this a bit differently as well, but I'm not really seeing if I count it differently, and just it's not fitting very well. So I just think that the next step here will be, you've had the arrival here, the reaction will be the first high above the level at some point, some type of little ABC pattern here, and then we should push off again at this point. So yeah, this is all good. We'll end up being pulled up. Now we've got support on 80, taking that high out here. That's support on 80, so normally it gets pulled up to this number. The 90 will give us a bit of a hard time, but nothing really to worry about. That's just 72 there. So kind of when you look at group 2, 65 here, this is the 65 number, the 72 and the 80 here. But because it's got so much space between them at dollar terms, I label them a bit differently. So the 65 becomes a medium level and then a major level and so on. But anyway, that's going to continue to the upside. And the bank here slowly getting up there. Obviously, where are we with that? Roughly. So at that 60% here, so 60, 62 in the pocket there, and roughly speaking, and also this little guy here as well, 70, the square root of 61.8%. They're both going to be little headaches at this particular point, but from 10,000 ticks, we should be pushing up higher. Same with the other banks as well. 10 ticks here. So we've been looking up as wave 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for wave 1 and 2. Bit dodgy, and all this is a little bit struggling at this point. That's the 61.8%. So I've got to get my head around this a little bit, but that's corrective in nature. So I'm seeing impulse waves to the upside and corrective waves to the downside. So this is a little bit corrective here in this case, so we can look at this coming back into this space before we get a bounce. So we can count 5 waves down here as the ABC, and we should push up again from that level. What's the best way to count that though? That's the trick. I think it's really, I might need to lift this up here to wave 1 here and wave 2 back to here for this, and then a 1 and 2 in here. It's something like this anyway. Friday, you'll see how Friday kicks in. It should be bullish. Alrighty, that's it for the stocks. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the weekend. Cheers.